I believe that if we want to succeed at anything in life, we need 4 things. We need more clarity, more creativity, more resourcefulness, and more smartness. I don't know anybody who's born with those things. They all need to be trained, honed, and developed. And that's what my talk is going to be about. Creating, releasing, and generating more CCRS in your life and the life of your pupils, or mind, I should say. Now, you're probably wondering why I've got my arms folded. Well, I'd like you to fold your arms right now, please. And then fold them the opposite way, or at least try. Doesn't it feel weird? The reason why it feels so weird is because we normally do things a certain way. But when we start to try something new, we create new neural pathways, and that's what this talk is going to be about. Experimenting, training new neural pathways for you to develop more CCRS. I've got 4 letters I'd like to say to you right now, followed by a word. And when I've said this to you, I'd like you to shout it back to me as loud as you feel comfortable. And then at the end of that, I'm going to ask you a question which I want you to answer as quickly as possible. Here we go. P-O-T-S pots. P-O-T-S pots. P-O-T-S pots. P-O-T-S pots. P-O-T-S pots. P-O-T-S pots. What do you do at a green traffic light? Who said stop? And by the way, if you're at the lights and there's somebody in front of you and they don't go, it's the person next to you. So what happened there? Well, essentially this. What we are about to think about is based upon what we've previously been thinking about. Let me say that again. What we are about to think about is based upon what we've previously been thinking about. We condition ourselves into certain responses by what we have in our minds prior to our thinking process taking place. So I'm going to go through a few things with you right now that you can use to enhance your CCRS and use these things in your life. And the first thing is sleep. How was your sleep last night? How about the night before? How about this week? How about this month? How was your sleep in general? And unless you have a medical condition, most people we find are living in sleep debt. They simply don't get enough quality sleep. And you imagine, you have a problem to solve, you have a challenge that you're trying to get over, you're trying to be more creative, you're trying to look for more clarity, and you're trying to do it through an exhausted, tired mind. Well, it's not going to function in the way that you want. And a recent report came out which stated, this is from the NHS, that the number of under 14-year-olds being admitted to hospital for sleep-related disorders has tripled in the last 10 years. And it's predominantly down to tech. The use of smartphones and gadgets and tablets before going to bed. So the first thing we can do to improve our sleep is limit or stop altogether using tech at least an hour before we go to sleep. I know it's difficult. I know it's a challenge. But the tech gives off the blue light effect, which affects the naturally occurring hormone of melatonin. So it's going to start to activate the mind. It's not just that as well, of course. It's the information that's going into your mind through the tech that you're interacting with. But there's a few things that we can do to help. Firstly, of course, is limiting that interaction. The next, we can go through what I call a wind-down process before going to bed. And that doesn't mean sitting on a settee yawning and nodding off, only to wake up again to go to bed. You can do some light stretching, some gentle breathing. You can listen to some soft music. You could even give yourself a foot massage, or better still, get someone else to do it. You also have to be very aware of the information and the files that you're opening before you go to bed, because you're going to take them into the dream state. Whatever you have going inside your mind before you go to sleep, you're going to carry with you. So you've got to make sure it's something encouraging and something nourishing. And you also have to limit the amount of TV that you watch before going to sleep. I mean, you wouldn't go to sleep after watching a horror film, would you? At least I hope you wouldn't. Nor would you go to sleep after watching that film 50 Shades of Grey. Otherwise, you could be up all night. The next thing is take mind rest, or what I call active rest. And that works like this. When you've got a lot of studying to do, when you're trying to generate and release more creativity and clarity, give your mind time to rest. Let's say you're studying. You use what I call the fighter pilot technique. Imagine a fighter pilot sitting in the cockpit. He's got all these buttons and all these instruments and all these gadgets to think about and process. In fact, his very life depends on it. But what he does, or she does, is take a 40-second micro nap. And what they do is they close their eyes for 40 seconds, focusing on their breathing to disengage their brain from all the things they're having to think about and process. And then when they open their eyes again, it's more relaxed. And they do this several times during any mission. You can also take a 20-minute nap. And the reason why I say 20 minutes is because any longer than 20 minutes, your brain goes into the groggy zone. So 20 minutes is the optimal time if you want to take a nap, if it's appropriate for you. Or you can do what I call 20-minute plus spike, which means before you go to sleep for 20 minutes, you take a drink of coffee, because it takes approximately 20 minutes for the caffeine hit to kick in. So by the time you've had your 20-minute sleep, you're awake and you've got that double turbo boost if caffeine is your thing. The next thing is visualization. Visualization is just so powerful. We all visualize, but many people visualize on the outcomes that they don't want, and then they end up pulling themselves towards them. P times V equals ooh. P times V equals ooh. Performance times visualization equals optimal output highs. So we all need to practice visualizing the things that we want. I remember years ago, I always wanted to get the ball in the basket in the free shot in basketball, but I could never do it. And the reason why I couldn't do it is because I would always talk myself out of the ability. I would tell myself I couldn't do it. I would see myself not doing it. I would see my friends and my peers laughing at me and making jokes. It's only after I visualized that I started to improve. I would see myself getting the ball in the net over and over and over again. Then 7 times out of 10, the ball went in the net. So visualize on the things that you want, not on the outcomes that you don't want. Next, something I call neuro-trition, food for thoughts. Now, your brain takes up 2% of your total body weight, but uses 20% of your body's total energy. So we've got to be feeding our brains and our minds all the time, because our cells can't store the things that they need. And the main nutrients for the mind are glucose, fats, and oxygen. So ensure that your diet is rich in B vitamins, milk, cheese, particularly B12. Also ensure that you've got an omega-3 rich source, such as salmon, sardines, mackerel, that kind of thing, and omega-6, which you can get from nuts and cereals. You can also try a teaspoon of honey before you go to sleep at night. And I've tried this, I use it on a regular basis, and it works wonderfully well, because when you go to sleep, you've got to make sure that while you are asleep, your brain is being constantly fed. It will help you process all the information from the short-term to the long-term memory while you're asleep. And you'll hopefully wake up with more clarity and less grogginess. You could also try taking porridge oats for breakfast. Start the day with breathing. I always start the day with a 4x4 times 7 ratio. I breathe in for 4, I breathe out for 4, and I do about 7 sets. And other things you can do is do some gentle exercise, take the dog for a walk or something like this, something to really start to pump energy and oxygen into your brain. The next thing is meditation. Try meditation to help you create and generate more clarity. It's been proven through MRI scans that meditation is uniquely powerful in the way that it works and helps the mind. Now, what I do, if I have a challenge or a problem that I'm looking to overcome, I'll actually bring that challenge or that problem into my meditation. So I'll actually meditate on the problem itself, but what makes it so unique is this. I'll take away all the resistance and all the negativity I have. Quite often, what keeps us from solving our problems is the barriers that we create and surrounding them. We create that language barrier. So I make sure that when I meditate, I do it through the eyes of clarity, through a belief and a feeling of neutrality, to ensure that I demand the answer to come inside the meditation. I say, brain, find me the answer. Pull it out of the meditation, and quite often it happens, so try that. Next, something I call divergent thinking. You change your perspective. You change the way that you look at things. Because when you look at things in a different way, what you get back is different and changes too. Imagine my fist was a challenge or a problem that you were having. Rather than just seeing things from one dimension, you see it from different angles. You see it from above. You see it from below. Sometimes I imagine that I'm actually sitting inside the problem itself and I'm looking out. And then often the solution appears because, again, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. And ask yourself better questions. Einstein was a great asker of questions. One of the things he would ask was, I want to know the mind or the thoughts of God. Everything else is detail. And a brilliant and beautiful question Einstein would ask, which I've adopted in my life over and over again, and I recommend that you do the same. He said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend the first 55 minutes defining and refining and asking the right question. And I want to finish right now by asking you a question. And if you know the answer to this, please keep silent and allow other people to answer. Imagine that you're on a sinking rowboat surrounded by sharks. What do you do to survive? Well, you could say, I'll swim for it. I'll hit them with the oars. Well, you don't need to do anything like that. All you need to do is to stop imagining. Because I put that idea in your head in the first place. So ensure that you are planting the ideas and the thoughts that you want to be there to create more inspirational intelligence in your life to take you and your brain and that of your pupils further forward. Thank you.